To recap the last segment, by this time you should have all of your lift the dot studs installed into the bodywork. And then at this stage I have the front and rear center fasteners into the canvas, and then 2 fasteners left and right of center, front and back. I've got a nice stretch, a little pull on the fabric. It's starting to take shape really nicely. So this is again where you need to toggle back and forth, left and right, front and back, and work with the fabric. So I think what my plan of attack is going to be, I'm going to do this one next. I can get a nice pull, a stretch, get that stud right in the center of the reinforced area. I'll get that one done, and then hold that, and then I can come back to the one just rear of the door, and that's going to give me a good stretch there. Once those 2 are complete, I'll come back, work on this front corner one, and that'll pretty much complete the passenger side wrapping around to the rear of the car. This is the one that I just installed, and now since I've got a little more stretch, I'm going to work on this one, work this over. I think at this time I'll mention that there are tool companies, tool makers out there where they make a hand punch for these lift the dot fasteners. It's kind of a forked type tool. You slide it over, squeeze the handle, and it will punch the holes for the lift the dot fastener. Downside is I haven't seen one online for anywhere less than about $380. So 380 divided into 25 holes, I couldn't justify it. I'll just take the top off, use the $70, hit it with the hammer punch, put the top back on. So if you want to go with the hand punch, that is an option. I'm going to go install this fastener. I'm going to really suggest that you resist the temptation to do more than one fastener when you're at this stage. You look at it and it's like, oh, I can mark this one and I can knock out 2 of them, and you know, it's one less on and off, on and off. Resist the temptation, because it really helps you pulling this thing and getting wrinkles out and working it around on the car. Because I can do this one up front here, get that anchored, but that impacts the placement of this one to get the wrinkles in the stretch out, which then impacts the placement of this one. So if I did this one first, then it restricts my ability to stretch to get this forward one. So you kind of have to play with it a little bit and decide which one's next, then this one, then that one. So resist the urge to do more than one at a time. We're going to do this front corner one first. We'll get that marked. I'm just stretching the fabric over, getting it pulled where it fits and lays nice. I'm in the center of my reinforced area. And just kind of fill in the top of the stud with your China marker. Now it comes off again. I believe at this stage I have all of my, well, for lack of a better term, load bearing snaps and fasteners installed. Load bearing meaning the ones that actually carry some tension, which amounts to the back row and then wrapping around the cockpit. So I'm going to put the cover on another time. Does Velcro ever wear out? I mean, I've had this on and off about a dozen times. I hope I haven't used up all of my duty cycles on Velcro. But we'll get these stuck back down accurately. We've got our center rears done. We'll click in our center front. And work our way out. We're on the passenger side, and this may not happen to you if you follow the earlier tips about mirror imaging your stud placement and getting them properly wrapped around the car in the same places. You can see this black magic marker line where we initially stretched the top out and made marks and did our offset. And I can easily stretch the fabric back out to nearly meet those lines, and I would have just a really nice drumhead look to the tonneau. But I have to make a compromise because I have my studs in place. They're not in the correct place. They should have been a little more outboard, but I can't correct that. So I have to compromise in the placement of these fasteners. This one I can stretch out and still be within my reinforced fabric area. This one, I could stretch it out, but it puts me into the field. Same with this one. If I stretch it out, it puts me right on the seam. So I am just going to have to put these fasteners in as close as I can to the double reinforcement. They're not going to be centered between the stitching and the piping. They're going to be a little off. But I have to make that compromise because of compounding of errors. So you may or may not have to do this, but I do. I think what it's going to come down to is I'm going to have to install these fasteners at these locations as physically close as possible to where I'm still within the double reinforced area. I have a similar situation on the driver's side. It's not as critical because I can kind of fudge a few things with the Velcro closure here. But again, I am very close to the non-reinforced area, and I'm going to lose a little of the symmetry because the fastener is going to be in the canvas, not centered in the stitch area. But again, it's a compromise. But again, I will just put these in as close as possible to the edge of the double reinforcement on my locations. This one I might be able to do a little different because I have the stitching that holds the fuzzy side of the Velcro, and then I do have a little bit of overlap of double fabric, so I can work this one a little different, get it to lay down a little nicer. It might go right there. And those are the last 3 fasteners to go into the tonneau cover. So we're going to punch this, install the fasteners, and we'll be back. One of the little tricks that I've used, especially when you're in an area close to an edge, or as in my case here, these are those, call them compromise locations, where I'm very near the borders of my double fabric area, is I'll take one of the backing washers and lay it down over my mark. And that gives me an accurate representation of where my prong holes are going to come through. This one, my prongs are going to be really close to this stitching, and I don't want to pierce the stitching or compromise it. So I'm just going to fudge that a little bit further out. It also lets you flip it over. I do have a tail of extra material here that's beyond the stitching. But in this case, I don't want to pierce the stitching because it would probably start to unravel over time and not good. Over here, same thing, put it on my mark. I'm well within the area, I'm away from the stitching, so this one is good to go there. And I have this last one. Where that would fall right there. Again, I'm kind of in a dangerous spot here because this reveals that one of my prong locations might pierce the stitching. So I'm going to have to adjust a little bit. Maybe move it inward a bit or outward just a hair. But keep this little tip in mind when you're locating and punching for your fasteners. I've removed all of the tape from around the stud locations, given it a little bit of a cleanup, got rid of some of the tape adhesive and gunk. And so now we're going to put this cover on, I think, for the first time fully complete. happy with those results. The asymmetry of some of the fasteners isn't really noticeable unless you're right on top of it and you're looking for it. So that worked out well. Let's see about this feature. Cover, roll it up, tuck it behind the seat. Maybe I'll have to come up with something to Velcro or whatever to put a loop through here, hold it to the roll bar. That would work out slick. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Got some of this Velcro strip. I used to use this to bind data cable and stuff when I was doing cable work for equipment racks and things. And I think cut a length or two of this. Get it through the holes. Wrap up this side of the cover. Here we are. I like it. Get to wherever you're going. Roll this out. And you're good to go. This completes the installation of the tonneau cover. I am very happy with the way that this turned out. I'm not going to say it was an easy installation, but it is not beyond the capabilities of somebody that can build one of these cars. I'm pleased with the way that it turned out. And if Mother Nature ever gets back on her medication around here, stops throwing us snowstorms in March, I'd really like to get out and take a drive and see what it feels like with the cover on. If I was to do this again, or if I knew then what I know now, I would definitely pay much more attention to these stud placement. Take your measurements, do mirror images side to side, adjust to get them equal, and that way you won't run into what I did, compromising attachment points on the sides. Now, if you recall, I did do the soft top, and Whitby recommends doing the soft top first and then fitting the tonneau cover to the studs for the soft top. I still think that the same techniques would apply, being careful about stud placement, mirror imaging. You may have to fudge things a little this way or that way, but the end result would probably turn out even nicer. We went through that a lot on that front dash cowling area. Extensive measuring, layout, try this, erase it, try it again. But taking the extra effort to do that, you wind up with good results. So that's about it for my Whitby tonneau cover installation. I hope you've enjoyed this series of videos and it inspires you to do more work on your own car. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.